Okay, we are here at the Jesse Lee Falls podcast with Joe Lev.
Hi.
All right, man. Good to see you. And for people that don't know, Joe, you are a session bass player from Sacramento, Bay Area, and we happen to live in the Astoria, Oregon area. Both of us. I'm from Sacramento also, and we kind of became fast friends. And I just kind of wanted to open it up and give you the floor. And mainly what my podcast is about the micro music business, and I'm trying to educate and instill some hope in musicians that are on the low end of things, and to kind of reinstate that it's really important to not be overwhelmed by what the macro side of the business is constantly shoving down our throats, and to stay hopeful on the micro side of things. And I know that you're somebody who's been, you're a veteran player, and I'm just going to go ahead and open the floor up to you.
Okay. See, I've been doing this a very long time, and I've seen the business change a lot. When I started out early 70s, there wasn't much to do but go out and dance to cover bands. So every neighborhood had a bar with like music 5, 6, 7 nights a week, and gigs were like 5 nights a week. You'd play 5 nights a week at a place, Then sometimes we go off and play our off nights somewhere else, and it was possible to make a living. There were probably 100 full-time musicians in Sacramento. Guys were buying houses and stuff, and raising their families mostly on their gig money. But then coming up to the 80s with drunk driving laws and AIDS and cable television, all of a sudden there were all these reasons not to go to bars. So the business kind of bottomed out.
And do you think that was right around the 80s that because of the AIDS thing that was happening, and just people being more reluctant to actually just go out at all? But that was something you saw primarily in the 80s?
Yeah, it was the 80s. I would say we're looking at the mid 80s is when it happened. I was lucky enough because I was in this band where we had been playing in various kinds of top 40 bands, and on the side we were doing our singer-songwriter guys just nothing but his originals. We were going out and playing for almost nothing, just doing his originals. But then at some point we all found ourselves without another gig, so we said, well, let's add some cover tunes to our list.
You got to do that
and start going out there and working. And immediately we were working. We were really lucky because cable television had just come to town, and in cable they had a rule that they have to have a certain amount of local programming, and they had no programming, and everybody in town was doing nothing but watching cable. So we went and made 2 or 3 videos, concert videos and stuff right off the bat, and immediately people were seeing us, and that really jump started our following.
And that was through like public access?
Yeah, exactly what it was, public access.
See, I love that because I just watched Wayne's World again.
Yeah.
I think 2 weeks ago, and there's something like so cool about that movie because of the public, broadcasting, and I mean that's basically like what we're doing now. It's like that's what podcasts basically are. It's like these two guys sitting in their basement making a show. It's like, and they're
Party
just
on, Jesse.
Yeah, exactly. yeah. So go ahead.
Okay, so it was a good band, and the two guitar players, they were good salesmen. The band was called the Beer Dogs, and we kind of decided to have like the stupidest name ever, DAWGS, and but people kind of they took a shine to it, and plus we were good. And Bob Pierce, who lives in Texas now, is a brilliant songwriter and entertainer too. But he just cranks them out, just funny. He is underappreciated in the bigger business world of music. But he's a great songwriter. He moved from California to Texas, near Austin, and he's been like cranking out CDs like 2 a year from his studio.
Wow.
And he gets Grammy nominations. That's how I got a Grammy nomination, because we co-wrote a song on one of his records. So I got like
really
that
cool.
much of a Grammy nomination.
That's cool, man.
Yeah. And so we did really good. I mean, we were packing clubs, and we were working like 250 plus shows a year without hardly traveling, which is really hard to do. We were drawing every night of the week. We could pack a club, People knew it was going to be a party, you know. So,
yeah.
And so that was my whole life for 9 years. And when I got fired because me and the guitar player didn't get along, you know, and I was having some issues of my own, which I don't really need to go into, but
Sure.
But we, you know, it was like
Musician with issues.
yeah.
I don't believe it.
I mean, we were living it, man. Is what we were doing. I mean, we really were, and we had the image of being wild, crazy, out of control party guys, but actually we were all about taking care of business. So the club owners loved us because the people would see these wild, crazy guys, but we would show up on time and take short breaks and play the whole show and be consistently good. You know, we made, I think, 4 CDs while I was in the band, and we had a great following. I call it my rock star years.
Yeah.
And so when that ended, it was a rude awakening. Talking about the micro business.
Yeah.
You know, at that point, I needed the income, so I just started playing with anybody that would have me.
Right.
So I remember one New Year's, I was at the Hilton. There were two other bands making good money. We got rooms and meals. The next New Year's, I was playing at this biker bar for $83. You know, so that's services, right?
Yeah, and I think that's a really good example. It's a good soil sample of what I'm kind of getting at with why I even wanted to do this. Because, like, for example, you know, you just pointed out that, you know, you kind of put yourself on the hired gun side of things.
Yeah,
where,
that's exactly what I did. Yeah.
And so some of the pros and cons that come along with that is that, you know, when you are in a band where you've helped establish it, it's like you've got a voice, man. You've got a voice in decision making, and then you know, if you decide you're going to kind of do the hired gun thing because you can make some more money because you can spread yourself out with different bands, and then there's some, you know, release of the responsibility that the leader has to really deal with, you know, and so I understand that there's like benefits to that. What's one of the for me, one of the reasons why I've tried being a hired gun only like twice in my whole musical career, or I'm sorry, maybe 3 times, but it's like so, you know, few and far between that it's like it doesn't seem like I did a lot of hired gun work, but I did, and this is where me and you cross paths, is that I was a hired gun for the Wingnut Adams band down in the Sacramento and Bay Area, and I started playing with Wingnut back in 2007. I just got out of the Coast Guard, and I literally just like transitioned right into his band because he was looking for he was extremely frustrated with guitar players, and that he was tired of guitar players that always wanted to solo, and he just wanted a funky rhythm guitar player. And so him and I like really hit it off. But the cool thing is that I think it was a year ago, I'm on Facebook and I see one of your posts, and it's a post that it was you and Wingnut playing somewhere. Oh, at the down in Folsom at the Powerhouse, I believe. And I'm like, wait a second. He played with Wingnut, and then I got a hold of you. Just because it was like, hey, wait a second, dude, you're in the Wingnut, you're part of the Wingnut family, dude. Like, we need to know each other, and that was really cool, and like that kind of interconnectivity that I see, especially like in this music world, even when you're on the micro level, it's like the good players know the good players. And it's like, it doesn't matter if we're from different states. It's like we tend to find each other. It's such a small community. And I don't think we realize how, I mean, it feels big because we know that everybody who's a musician can have a studio in their house and they can be producing music. And there's like, you know, I don't know how many tens of thousands of songs that are being released on Spotify every month. It's like, it's ridiculous, like how oversaturated the whole thing is with music. But when you start getting out there and you start working with the pros, it's a freaking small world, man.
Well, that's what I found out.
Yeah.
You know, and really what brought that home is Sacramento was a big city, and I'd been there. I'd been playing there for 40 years. I knew a lot of people. I mean, I knew everybody. I had a great reputation there. And then I moved up here 2.5 years ago, and I hardly knew anybody, you know. But it did not take long for people to find me and me to find people. That people going, oh, there's a bass player in town. So I immediately was getting all these calls, and and me being me, I just played with everybody. But it took a while to shake out to the people I really want to play with, you know. And, And because I don't want to do. I want to be happy. I want to have fun. I want to be around people I like.
Yeah.
I don't want to play music I don't love with people I don't like anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. We no, I totally agree with that. There's my very close friend Kalen Ulig, who passed away in October.
Yeah.
He had these 3 rules that he was always telling me this stuff, man. Yeah, there's these 3 rules. And it's the band has to have good hang,
Mm-hmm.
decent money, and yeah, that's funny. I just forgot the third one. It's decent money,
Yeah.
good hang,
Yeah.
and what was the other one? Aaron, do you remember? I'm like totally brain farting. Good hang,
Good music.
good music. Oh, and decent money. Yeah. So yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like I'm forgetting like the most important one. Oh yeah, good music. There.
Yeah.
But it's the good hang that really, if that goes away.
Well, you spend so much time with each other, you know. I mean, let's say if you're traveling with the band, you know, you're with them 24 hours a day, and the gig is 2 hours. So if you don't like them the whole rest of the time, it's going to be a miserable experience, you know. And I don't care how much money you're making, if you're not comfortable out there and you don't trust the people you're with, because I've been in situations like that. It's just, you know, well, it becomes not worth it because there's just not that much money to be made.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we've had some horror stories ourselves where, you know, I like to go on the road a little. I like to travel. We've gone as far as New Mexico. I play Baker City, which is like, you know, 7 hours away from where we live, and I like to, you know, I want to expand, but it's been such a horrible experience at times where we take the wrong members on the road. And it's like you don't know people are high maintenance until you get them away from their you know, their safe zone.
You find out in a hurry, man.
Oh, you find out quickly.
Yeah, I was playing with this guitar player, man, when I was with Frankie Lee, the blues great, the late Frankie Lee, and I think we were in Minnesota, and we were unloading the van. I grabbed his amp. He goes, "No, don't do that, man." I go, "What?" And he goes, "Well, if you help me with my amp, you're going to expect me to help you with your amp. And I don't want to do that."
I've worked with guys like that.
Yeah.
So going back to the wingnut days, yeah, the temperament of bass players is very interesting because I think guitar players do tend to fall into like a more of a stereotypical kind of a thing, but bass players, I've never really been able to say like, oh, well, bass players are just kind of like this one way. It's like, dude, that's not the case at all. Like everybody is so individualistic, and there's been some, like there was one guy that was absolutely that way. He did not want you to touch his gear. He just didn't want you to touch his gear. Yeah. And in a way, it's kind of like, oh, well, that's cool, but then it's kind of like, well, you know, we're a team. We're trying to, like, you know, we're trying to be a team, you know. But it's like, hey, man, some guys are just really quirky about their stuff, so it's like just respect it, you know. But
and I understand that, but the fact that he was worried about having to help me with my stuff. That's
what I'm saying.
And we're talking about being 3,000 miles away from home, and the only people you know are the 4 other guys in the van.